I'm here with a guest speaker today. It's my boy Samarai Saud. Be sure to give this guy a follow on Instagram. He's a really cool guy, really fun to talk about MMA with. He's my best bud. And I'm back here giving another prediction for UFC 285. I've already done one, but that was solo. This one, like I said, is with the guest speaker. And of course, I got my old style back, the pick in the hair. So we're going to get started with these predictions. And I'm going to hand it over to my friend Saud. So we're going to break down the fights on the main card. And we could talk about some of the preliminary fights, but the main topic is the main card. And obviously, to kick off the main card, we got Bo Nickal, undefeated star, versus Jamie Pickett. So, Saud, who are you picking for that one, my man?
I think this is the obvious pick here, Bo Nickal. I'm riding with Bo Nickal all day here. Three-time NCAA champion. This is a pretty easy pick because I don't think Jamie Pickett is impressive anywhere. I don't think he's going to be a threat to Bo Nickal anywhere. He's done pretty poor in the UFC, I believe. Has more losses than wins. So I think the UFC, everybody knows what the UFC is trying to do here. They're trying to build Bo Nickal up as a star. And I didn't like Bo Nickal's little entitlement because I don't think he
Me
deserved the
neither.
main card spot. And this is a big main card as well. So uh, Bo Nickal believes in himself. He believes he'll be champion. He believes he'll win through everybody. Well, let's see if he'll eat his words. I don't think he'll eat his words in this fight. Should be an easy dub in the first round. I got a
Yep.
knockout, but I feel like a submission is more likely.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bo Nickal is going to run through Jamie Pickett. I think the UFC they played their cards right, for his UFC debut and being 3-0 with little experience. They're basically feeding him, a can, so to speak, not to disrespect Jamie Pickett, but they know the matchup is favorable. Jamie Pickett isn't really outstanding anywhere other than maybe the stand up, but even the stand up, he's not overly great. I've seen some of Bo Nickal striking, and he even has some knockouts on the feet. So, I mean, obviously, he doesn't want to stand with Pickett. He's going to want to use his wrestling. And that's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to waste no time. He's going to go straight to it with the takedowns. He's going to get the takedown. He's going to get Pickett in a horrible position. And I think he's going to get the fight to the ground and get an early submission. That's my pick. All right, now we move up the card. We got Mateusz Gamrot versus Jailin Turner. Originally, we were going to get Dan Hooker versus Jailin Turner. And originally, I had Jailin beating Dan. However, for this matchup, my prediction is different. I think Mateusz Gamrot is a whole other animal than Dan Hooker. He's got the wrestling, whereas if Jailin were to fight Hooker, he would have been fighting a striker who I think Jailin was kind of better everywhere than Dan. I think he had the grappling advantage, a bit of a power advantage on Hooker as well. It was a dangerous and bad matchup for Hooker, but I think Gamrot's going to be a bad matchup for Jailin due to his wrestling advantage, his pace, his pressure. And I think he's just all around better. I don't see Jailin being able to hold off the wrestling long enough to work his striking. He's going to want to really keep that range on Gamrot and stay long, stay behind the reach. But I don't know if he can do that. I mean, we'll see. But I think the only advantage he has over Gamrot is not style wise, but just physically wise, just being bigger, taller, and longer. What about you?
I'm gonna get both here. I have Jalen Turner in this fight. I'm actually a Gamrot fan, but I feel like Jalen Turner has a full camp for this fight. I feel like his long and raging, his power, I think will actually be a problem for Gamrot because I think Gamrot striking is a big hole in his game. As much as his wrestling is a big part of his game. I think Jalen Turner's submission ability and his power will get him the win because I think Gamrot is he's gonna get dropped and then he's gonna get subbed. That's my prediction.
Wow, bold. I like it. I could see that happening. Jalen Turner, he is very dangerous. He does
Yeah.
have hella hands. He does have power, and we've seen Gamrot get chinned by Benil Dariush. So anything can happen. I mean, I'm on the opposite side. I got Gamrot winning, but hey, would not surprise me in the least if Jalen was able to
It's
win
a
this
very
fight. Yeah. Now
more
we got
likely
the
when choose Gamrot to run through him, he's gonna ragdoll Jalen Turner. But I feel like something can happen. I feel like a sense of upset.
yeah. I don't think he'll. I mean, I don't think that he'll run through Jalen Turner, even in picking Gamrot. There is one upset I do want to see, but we'll get to that later on in this video. But we got the feature fight up next. Geoff Hands of Steel Neal versus Shavkat Rakhmanov. I'm going to hand this one over to you. Who do you have winning that fight?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this fight quite a bit, and I'm just so torn about it because I rewatched the Shavkat's earlier fights before the UFC, and his defense, his striking defense, is actually a problem. I think it has gotten better, but I think against a guy like Geoff Neal, who has so much power and so much, he has very slick boxing, slick striking. It could be a big problem for Shavkat, but I am going to go with Shavkat here. He's a more well-rounded fighter. He's a longer fighter, and I think he's undefeated. So obviously he's really good. But I'm really pissed that Geoff Neal missed weight today. That's really unfortunate because now if he wins, it sucks, and if he loses, it also sucks. For Shavkat. But I do think Shavkat has the edge here. I think he is the real deal, and I think he is going to be the next champion in the welterweight division.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely has a bright future. I think this fight will tell us a lot about Shavkat, how good he is. Because Geoff Neal, I mean, he is going to be a good test. And I'm glad that he's back on track in the win column. He's finally living up to his potential. He had an off last couple years after those health issues, but he's back. With he barely edged a win over a washed up Ponzi, but he knocked out Vicente Luque. And who does that? Because Luque is really durable, right? But yeah, I agree. I think Shavkat's gonna win. I just think he's better everywhere. Like everything Neal does, Shavkat does better. Rakhmanov, he's taller, longer. He's better with range. I think he can keep Geoff Neal at a distance. And sometimes Neal can be very passive and fights off the back foot. And he doesn't want to fight with that style against Rakhmanov. I think Rakhmanov is a better boxer than Geoff Neal, better with straight punches as well. And Geoff loops a lot of his shots, which could get countered down the middle by a lot of Shavkat straight punches. Shavkat has better kickboxing as well as better boxing and better footwork. And he's got the X factor of a wrestling advantage in this fight, which I think he could use. I think he can mix it up between the strikes and the wrestling. And I see him, a lot of people are picking Shavkat by finish here, but I'm going to go against the grain and say that he's going to outpoint Geoff Neal just because Geoff Neal is tough and Geoff Neal is dangerous. I think because of the power Geoff presents, I don't see Shavkat wanting to take crazy chances that could get him in trouble. And also Geoff Neal, the way he also fights very passive, like I said. So I don't see neither man really taking any crazy chances that could get them in trouble. But in that kind of chess match, I think it's ultimately going to favor Shavkat, and I don't see Geoff being able to draw him into a scrap. But we shall see. We've seen Rakhmanov get dropped before on the
Yeah,
regional scene. I watched MMA Guru's video on that, so not a good sign. And if Geoff can land right, we could see an upset. But all in all, I just think Shavkat's better, and he's got momentum on his side. And I think with the win here, he is going to crack the top 5 of the division
yeah,
and
I do
soon get
agree
a.
that this might be his first decision because he does have a 100% finish rate. And also
Yep.
Geoff Neal is pretty inconsistent as a fighter too. I can't really
Yeah.
trust him as pick. Yeah, Shavkat is going to get the job.
Yeah, and I'm glad you agree on the decision pick because I don't want to completely discredit Geoff Neal here or overrate the finishing ability. I'm not saying his finishing ability is overrated, but I don't want to act like, yeah, for sure he's going to run through him. But if he does finish Geoff Neal, I'll be impressed because Geoff Neal hasn't been finished since 2012 against Kevin Holland. So it's been quite a long time since we've seen him get finished. But if anyone can do it, it is Shavkat. But my pick will be Rakhmanov by 29-28 decision or maybe a 30-27. All right. Now we move on to the first title fight of the evening. And I know you and we talked a lot about this fight, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina
Yep.
Shevchenko. And we know who we're both picking to win. We're both going against the grain. I'm going to start with me, and I'll hand it over to you after. But me, as the big Alexa fan, I got to go first. So I'm definitely picking Alexa Grasso here to get the upset against Valentina. It may be a bit of bias on my part, I will admit, but I just think timing is everything. And Valentina has a lot of mileage. She's had a lot of fights, and I think she's just on the older side. Alexa Grasso is younger. She is entering her prime. We're seeing Valentina's kind of regressing, and she doesn't really change much of her style. She kind of looks to do the same thing every fight, which it is effective, but I think it's only going to be effective for so long. And I think someone like Alexa, I think she studied her style for years. She's been watching Valentina for years, and I think she's going to know what to expect. She's going to be well prepared in this fight for Valentina. And Alexa, what she brings to the table is something different from what Val has ever gone up against before. Alexa Grasso has better hands than anyone Valentina's ever fought. Best boxer Val's ever faced. And I think she might even be one of the faster opponents Valentina's ever faced. Usually Valentina's used to having a speed advantage. I think in this fight, she is going to struggle with the speed of Alexa Grasso in this fight. And I think the speed and footwork of Alexa and her accuracy, I think it might allow her to get close to Valentina, to get in and land when she needs to. And I think we're going to see Valentina get hit more than people are used to seeing, more than she's used to. And I think one problem with Shevchenko is even though her defense is slick, she's very plodding. She stands in a straight line. Her movement's very linear. It's not lateral. So there's no circling or exiting motion from her. So because she does kind of stand in front of you waiting to counter or duck under and clinch, I actually think Alexa Grasso, because she said that she's kind of found a weak point in Valentina, which a lot of people see as the grappling, I think that's the weakness that Alexa is going to find. I think she's going to be able to go and attack down the center line against Valentina Shevchenko. I think she's going to be able to get in the pocket, and I think punch for punch, she's going to be better than Valentina. I think she's also going to be able to deny the clinch of Valentina as well. But one thing I want to get into is people talk about the size and the grappling of Valentina, that she's just bigger. She's fighting a former strawweight. Alexa Grasso is filled in with this weight class now. Like, she does not look like a strawweight in the flyweight division. She looks like a flyweight. And, you know, towards the end of her strawweight career, she was struggling to make the weight for a reason. So Alexa's not as small as people think, and she's not as weak as people think either. Like, Valentina is stronger, but Alexa Grasso is also strong. And I think that's going to be enough to keep up with Valentina when they do lock up. I mean, look at Macy Barber. Macy Barber is known for her physical strength. She's very strong, and her best means of winning against Alexa was using her size, being the bigger woman and out grappling her. And when she tried to, she couldn't. And I know she doesn't have the skills of a Shevchenko, but she literally got overpowered in the clinch by the smaller woman. And I think when it comes to the grappling, it's going to be like Volkanovski versus Makhachev, where people are expecting the smaller, inferior grappler to get ragdolled. That's not happening. I think if Valentina does get her takedowns, it'll be enough to win her the rounds because she got the takedowns. But I don't see her doing enough damage on the ground to Alexa. I don't see her finishing Alexa on the ground. I think for Val to win, she's got to keep this a boring, rangy kickboxing match and mix in her takedowns to win. But I think Alexa will be able to defend enough takedowns. I think she will be able to eliminate the kicks. She will be able to get in boxing range. And another thing I noticed about Valentina is her weakness are hooks. A lot of the shots that Maya was landing clean were looping hooks. They were sloppy as well. Andrade had success with hooks as well. And with the boxing of Alexa, her check hooks are going to be so much tighter. I think she's going to actually exploit that. And I think that's going to contribute to Val getting hit more than we're used to seeing. And I feel like Alexa's going to win by a TKO. This may sound crazy. I know the safe pick is Alexa by decision, but something tells me that we're going to see Valentina get knocked out tomorrow, which I know sounds crazy. I could look stupid when it's all said and done, but I don't know why. I just have a feeling that Alexa, she's going to make it a scrap, and Alexa's going to kill that narrative that she has no power. And I do see her getting a finish probably late in the fight. Or maybe even a submission. I know you called that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this matchup? I know you got Alexa, but I guess explain to the people the reason behind the pick.
Yeah, I agree with most of everything that you said. I'm going to keep it short here. Let's just get to the bottom of this.
I went long.
Valentina Shevchenko's her title defenses have been getting less impressive and less impressive. Her competition's been rising. Her performances have been decreasing. And I think now that there's actual contenders in the flyweight division, actual real talent, Valentina Shevchenko have much more of a hard time beating these girls. Because you're looking at Jessica Ai, Jennifer Maya, Caitlin Jukagan. These girls just do not match the skill of Talis Santos. Talis Santos, Alexa Grasso. So there's a clear difference between the skill gap. And I just feel like Alexa Grasso will be able to get the job done because her boxing is very crisp. And I don't, in my personal opinion, I'm going to get to the main event with this as well. Valentina Shevchenko's biggest weakness is actually her boxing. Her boxing is not very good. Her kickboxing is good, her Muay Thai is good, but her boxing is a big weakness in her game because she doesn't really uh, defend punches that well. She doesn't really throw punches that well. And Alexa Grasso being the much crisper boxer here, and I think we'll be able to exploit that weakness in Valentina Shevchenko's game. And I think she's going to drop Valentina Shevchenko and she's going to submit her.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. So a knockdown to a sub. Very interesting. Yeah, I do see Valentina getting dropped in this fight. I do think we are going to see her lose for the first time in 6 years to someone other than Amanda Nunes. And it's not going to be, she's going to lose to someone that no one expects it to be to. It's going to be to some weak little Mexican girl who everyone thinks has no chance. I know people think it's going to be Erin or Santos, but we think it's going to be Alexa. I think she has what it takes to rise to the occasion, and she's going to become the first female Mexican-born UFC champion. History will be made. But now let's move on to the main event, Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. Let's start with you.
All right. I do have Jon Jones in this fight, but this fight is definitely worrying. I think this is Jon Jones' toughest fight ever. Ciryl Gane is not just a heavyweight. He is a big heavyweight. He's a long and rangy heavyweight. His striking acumen is up there. And I just feel like Jon Jones, again, his biggest weakness is his boxing. I rewatched a couple of his fights, and I watched the Santos fight, and his kicks were great. He threw no takedowns, by the way, which is worrying. But his boxing was pretty much non-existent in that fight. Jon Jones' biggest weakness is 100% his boxing, and he needs to take Ciryl Gane down in this fight, or else I don't think it will be pretty good for him on the feet. Because Ciryl Gane is a nasty, nasty striker. You know, he has. I know people say he doesn't have power, but I say he's definitely going to have more power for like Jon Jones. For someone like Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane's power will be enough, and I do think Jon Jones, his power will be better at heavyweight, like DC. Daniel Cormier going up to heavyweight, he definitely had much more power. And I do think Jon Jones is going to crack Ciryl Gane, and he's going to shoot a takedown, and he's going to ground to pound him to TKO victory. Classic Jon Jones, hellish ground to pound. I think he's going to cut open Ciryl Gane. It's going to be bloody, and I think Jon Jones is going to get his hand raised.
And he's going to do it in round 3. That's his signature round for getting title fight finishes. Shogun in 3, Cormier in 3, Gus in 3. So
this is a heavyweight Jon Jones, by the way, with ground and pound. So that's going to be dangerous. He might even put Ciryl Gane on cold.
I want to see some nasty. Yep. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Like, this is a very worrying fight for Jon because Gane, his striking is so much better, and he brings a lot to the table that we've known throughout history does give Jon trouble. Jon has a hard time with guys who are like tall like him, who match his physical attributes. Guys who he doesn't have the physical advantages over do very well against Jon Jones. So obviously Ciryl is going to give him some adversity, and what worries me is that Jon, his performances have been declining. So it could be a sign that his prime years could be out, and taking time off definitely, I don't know if that will help. Maybe it will, but yeah, I don't know. Like, his performances over Reyes and Santos were concerning. This is a new division, and he hasn't fought in 3 years. Like, Gane has activity on his side. In the time that Jon has been out trying to build himself up for this heavyweight move, Gane has been killing top contender after top contender, building his confidence. He is a former interim champion. He did very well against the former undisputed champion in Gane, and he came so close to winning. It was just one mistake in that 5th round that costed him everything, and he ended up losing. Like a small adjustment, and he wins that fight. So Gane definitely walked away from that fight with a lot of confidence, and he had a huge win over Tai Tuivasa. I think he's going to be much improved from that Ngannou fight. I think this time he's going to be ready for the wrestling, but Jon is a better wrestler than Ngannou. I think one way or another, Jon Jones is going to get him down. Not in the early rounds, though. I think it'll be as Gane gets tired. And I am going to pick Jon Jones to win, but I'm just not confident. I'm going to like bank on the fact that, okay, maybe this time off has revived Jon. Maybe he'll be more motivated because he's got a new challenge. He's chasing a different belt. He's not defending the same 205 belt that he's defended for the last 10 years. A new title, a new challenge. And I think this is going to bring the best out of Jon Bones Jones. Yep. And I think what separates Jones from Gane is not just the skill, it's Jon's grit. his grit and his championship experience and his ability to win. He knows how to win when the tough gets going. Even when he struggled against Gus, he found a way to turn it around. He always adapts. We saw this against Reyes. Not as much against Thiago. He didn't really do much to change that fight, and he just was able to kind of get lucky that the decision gone to him. But I think in this fight, what happened to Ciryl against Ngannou, where he had a head start and then fell behind as it went on, I think that's going to happen in this fight. I think Ciryl Gane is going to defend takedowns early, and he's going to handily pick Jones apart, and it's going to look like John isn't going to win the fight. And then in the third round, I think from backing up a lot and from John's pressure, he slows down. And I think eventually he's going to succumb to the wrestling of John. And then once he does, he's not getting back up quickly because John is going to be a lot stronger than his light heavyweight self. So I think that'll contribute to his top control. And since he's a better wrestler than Ngannou, he's going to have an even better understanding of takedowns and control, not just his strength and size. And I think we're going to see him do like damage that's going to change the fight. He's going to do damage with his elbows on the mat. And I think that's going to change Ciryl Gane going into round 4. I think it will go past round 3, but I think round 4 is where Jon Jones gets a finish. And I'm going to say Jon Jones gets a late submission or maybe a TKO. But hey, if we do see a round 3 finish for Jon, I will not be surprised. But because this is Jon Jones, it's just hard betting against him because Jon Jones, he is that guy. But I would not be shocked if Ciryl Gane wins this fight. And like you said, his power, it could be a factor. Even though he's not known to be a power puncher, it's the heavyweight division. Anyone can knock out anyone with any given shot. And Jon Jones, he's never felt heavyweight power before, and he's not used to getting punched in the face in an actual fight because it's been so long. He hasn't had to get hit in so long. So maybe what happened to Gustafsson off his layoff could happen to Jon because he's not used to getting hit in so long, and especially from a heavyweight, his body might react differently and he might drop to the canvas. And I do think that we might actually see Jon get dropped for the first time in his career. It won't be like what happened with Reyes, where it was a slip. And people speculated like, oh, did he get knocked down or was it a slip? It's going to be a real knockdown, but I don't think it will end the fight. I think Jon will get back up and he'll fight through it. And I think that's going to fuel him. And then, like I said, I think Jon will just rally and break Gane. I just think he'll outdog him in an all-out war.
Yeah, I got Jon Jones winning. That being said, there's 2 big questions for me tomorrow night. What will Jon Jones's power look like? And what will Jon Jones's cardio look like?
Oh, yes.
A bunch of mass on his body is definitely going to affect his cardio, I feel like.
Yeah, if his cardio is affected, because that cardio is Jon Jones's biggest weapon. That's what won him the Reyes fight. That's what won him the Gus fight,
Yep.
Jon does amazing over 5 rounds. He gets stronger as it goes on. That's his gift. That's what separates him from a lot of opponents. But if he doesn't have that cardio on his side, and I think he's going to lose.
Jon Jones, his cardio is going to be a big factor because at heavyweight, that mass is going to take a toll, I feel like. So hopefully Jon Jones, his cardio is the same. Yeah, he's going to have to pace himself a bit more better so he can properly go throughout the fight. I feel like his cardio will be fine, though. He's an athlete. He's a freak athlete, and he's very elite. So I think his cardio will be definitely fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think the added weight will be a problem. Let's hope not. But yeah, that's my pick and yours. We're Team Johnny Bones and Team Grasso for these title fights. Let's see what happens. I hope Jon can do it. I hope he can make that history and, get that second belt. And I hope Alexa can do it for the women in Mexico and become the first female Mexican-born UFC champion. Now, there's a few good fights on the prelims. Are there any fights there you want to cover?
Yeah, first I want to cover Dricus du Plessis versus Derek Brunson. I do think the middleweight division is getting more alive with more prospects. We got Dricus du Plessis. We got Roman Dolidze. We did have Andre Muniz, but he did fail his last test. But the middleweight division is thriving right now, and I do think this is the changing of the guard. I do think Derek Brunson's going to get knocked out here. I think his chin is just not – it's too worrying, and I think he's going to get knocked out here. Either knocked out or submitted. Dricus du Plessis actually has very good grappling as well. So that's something that people can think about. And, I do think Dricus du Plessis should win here.
Has Brunson ever been submitted before?
I don't think so, no.
Wow, that would be a first if he submits
Yeah,
Derek, but I know he's notorious for getting knocked out. Whenever he loses, it's never a decision. I don't. Oh wait, Anderson Silva, but other
yeah.
than that, he's always getting sent to the Shadow Realm. So I think I have to agree, man. Dricus du Plessis is an absolute madman. He's very dangerous with his hands. And Brunson, he just don't got that chin. He never really did. And he's old, man. He's 39 years old, damn near 40. He just got brutally knocked out in his last fight by Jerry Cannonier. I don't know if du Plessis is as dangerous as Cannonier. I don't think so. But I think grappling wise, wrestling wise, I think he'll be better than Cannonier. So I think the grappling will cancel each other out. It's going to come down to the striking. And I think Brunson's going to panic under that du Plessis pressure. And we're going to see du Plessis retire Blonde Brunson. Unfortunate to say for him, but I think that's the end of the road. And then we got Cody Garbrandt versus Trevin Jones, correct?
Yep.
Who do you think wins?
I do have Cody Garbrandt. I know it's worrying, but I do think Cody Garbrandt's going to win here because of the level of competition. Trevin Jones is nowhere near the guys like Kai Car France or Rob Font or TJ Dillashaw. So I know Cody Garbrandt is chinny, but I do think Cody Garbrandt will get the job done because he's really fast and I don't want to say he's smart, but I think his speed and his striking power will be enough to get the job done. I think he'll get the knockout.
Yeah, let's pray Cody can get that win, man. I mean,
He just has to be
honestly,
smart.
yeah, I don't know much about Trevin, so I can't really make a prediction. I can't just blindly say Cody wins because he's Cody, but I'm just banking on hope and prayer because I kind of like Cody. He may be a meathead, but the dude is entertaining in and out of the octagon. I love the way he beefs with all these other bantamweights, and it sucks that he's not able to win, so we don't get to see him in there with the top guys that he's got beef with. So it's kind of sad when Cody has to miss out on being in the mix. He's spent the last 5 years just trying to get back in the win column. He only got one win since Obama was president, and that was against Rafael Assunção. So let's see if he gets this one. And yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I guess I'll say Cody wins. Cody and Dricus get it done. But that is a wrap for the breakdown and prediction. Our predictions for UFC 285. Before we end this, Saud, do you got any social media plugs, any shout outs you want to make?
Yeah, I got Instagram. You can follow me at Saud Anwar.
Okay. And yeah, so I guess that will be it. So thank you for joining me tonight for these predictions. And
Thank you for
yeah,
having
be sure to let me know your picks in the comment section down below. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and thank you for watching.